I'm Laura. I'm a former UCL student and now one of the co-founders of Catalytic Action, which is a not-for-profit design studio run predominantly by UCL alumni. And we're working to improve the lives of marginalised and disadvantaged groups in different settings. Most recently, we've been working in Lebanon with Syrian refugees following the crisis. So to provide some context, although many of you probably know, Lebanon is now hosting 1.1 million Syrian refugees, of which over 600,000 are children. This is a 25% increase to their existing population, and as you can imagine, has stretched resources a lot. Although to date, the UN and different governments and international NGOs have provided some emergency release to these displaced people, there's still very poor conditions within the camps, especially in the Bekaa Valley, which is where we've been focusing our work. So emergency shelter is mostly focused on medication, and it hasn't really gone through to reaching children yet. So Mark Sommers, who's a childhood development expert, specifically in war and post-war situations, from Boston University, argues that children often become programmatically invisible, and we really wanted to try and start to tackle the trauma and the psychological issues that these children face. So UNICEF have kind of conducted a report about this context specifically, and they've suggested that if nothing is done soon, then Syrian children, both those displaced and those still living within the war zone, are going to become part of kind of a lost generation. So some efforts have already been kind of started to combat this. The Kayani Foundation, which is a local Lebanese NGO, has partnered with the American University of Beirut and the Ministry of Social Affairs to deliver 3 schools in one of the settlements that we've gone to. And there's been very high attendance rate in these schools. But we feel that more needs to be done. And we've been working in the region to try and work out how we can reprioritise children in this crisis. So we wanted to consider how we can intervene, improve their shelter, the space within the camp, and kind of rebuild their childhood. And so after this, we've decided that one way to go about this is to intervene with a playground. We believe that it's hugely important to allow these children to simply be children, and we want to combat some of the boredom, the fear, the isolation that these camps kind of encounter. And we feel like it's a relatively low cost and simple idea that has the power to transform the everyday lives of these children. So we went to Lebanon. We carried out a series of participatory exercises within the camp to kind of get an understanding of what these children want in this space, and also looked at local materials that are available to kind of create a portable module structure. So this is kind of the process of our design. The module utilises the same materials that's within the school, meaning that there may actually be leftover parts from the construction, or that ordering a small amount more would be relatively low cost. They're easy to assemble, and they can fit very simply into the residual spaces within the camp. This shows how the modular structure can be kind of used to encompass different activities within it. We also, after working with children and teachers, found that some activities would be preferable. So the teacher said that if we put football in the camp, only boys would play, whereas if we included a basketball court, girls and boys would play. So we thought these were really important. So with these ideas, and with also, this is the space of the school that we're going to be working in, the structure of this playground was kind of determined by the residual or leftover spaces, considering pedestrian flow and how the space is actually used at the moment. But this, of course, could be adapted to any other school or anywhere else in the settlement. So we're planning on building that this summer, this playground, with a design build workshop, and which the fees of which will go towards the construction of the playground, and also with kind of crowdfunding. This is our final playground design. As I explained, the participatory exercises informed this. We're also going to be including kind of some participatory artwork, some urban agricultural projects in the space, as well as the basketball court, and there'll also be some outdoor learning spaces, which the teacher said would be really useful. But one of the most important things is that these materials can go on to be useful afterwards. The idea being that at the end of the Syrian war, if peace is re-established in the region, that this can be deconstructed, transported, and then either remade or repurposed in Syria in the future. So we believe that this project in many ways challenges the assumptions of what is deemed necessary or essential in emergency provision, and reprioritises children as the main beneficiaries, And we believe by just this very small intervention that we can kind of challenge, can change the children's everyday lives, and hopefully they will be able to go on and make a lasting impact in the future. Thank you.